What a disaster. What a monumental disaster for NBC. Headline at the Hollywood Reporter. Peacock reports $552 million in losses. Let me go ahead and dispel this false narrative because I know what some in the media are probably thinking. NBC is losing hundreds of millions of dollars because they no longer have MSNBC. Have you seen MSNBC's recent ratings? Wowzer! That network is filled with huge stars. NBC made a big mistake dropping this polished turd. I can guarantee you this $552 million loss, it has absolutely nothing to do with the loss of MSNBC. Matter of fact, I'd be willing to bet NBC would have lost even more money if they were still keeping that sinking Titanic afloat. And just to be clear, Peacock did not lose $552 million in the last 12 months. This loss isn't an annualized loss. NBC lost $552 million in the last 3 months. From January through September of 2025, Peacock lost $533 million in those 9 combined months. From October through December, they lost $552 million. The question is why? Well, according to NBC, some of the increased losses can be attributed to an exclusive NFL game that Peacock broadcast. But the main reason for NBC getting into the business of magic and making over $500 million magically disappear, their new and improved broadcast deal with the NBA. Now, I am no expert in stocks, but if you own stock in Comcast, which owns NBC, you might want to sell it now because I have a feeling these losses are going to be the same or even worse through the first 2 quarters of 2026. For the next 11 years, NBC is paying the NBA $2.5 billion a year. They're paying the NBA $2.5 billion to lose $500 million a quarter. Again, I'm no expert in business, but I don't need a PhD from Harvard to know this ain't sustainable. But there is some good news for NBC. This new deal with the NBA hasn't been a complete disaster. When compared to the fourth quarter of 2024, Peacock has added 8 million new paid subscribers. They went from 36 million paid subscribers to 44 million. I told you this deal with the NBA would work out. This league is amazing! Woohoo! Yes, yes, yes! Even though there is absolutely no way 8 million people subscribe to Peacock to watch the NBA, let's just pretend for a second that is the case. I have Peacock. I think it costs me maybe $15 a month. But in order to make this more than fair to the NBA, let's just say Peacock costs $15 a month. 8 million new subscribers times $15 a month. That's $120 million. Let's even assume by some miracle those 8 million people keep Peacock through all 12 months of the year. That equates to $1.4 billion annually. With NBC paying $2.5 billion a year for the NBA, they're losing $1.1 billion a year. At best, with the additional revenue from commercials, advertisements, at best, NBC is breaking even on this deal with the NBA. But that's assuming the 8 million new subscribers signed up with Peacock for the NBA, which they didn't. And it's also assuming they're paying $15 a month from January through December, which they won't. The truth is, NBC is losing their ass with this NBA deal. They need millions of new subscribers to make this deal financially feasible. And what is the NBA doing to help bring new subscribers to Peacock? The NBA has been busy giving half the country every reason not to watch, and they're damn sure giving half the country every reason not to pay to watch their product. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Link to the second channel is in the description below. Earlier today on the second channel, we talked about the ongoing media outrage with the NFL. The mainstream media is mad. 10 NFL teams had openings for a new head coach this offseason, and all 10 teams defied the laws of diversity by hiring the white man instead of the black man. Naturally, mainstream media, very upset about it. We react to a couple of their overreactions. So if you haven't already, click the link in the description below, subscribe to the second channel. You know, for the first time in years, the NBA felt like it was finally rebounding from the summer of woke love in 2020. Last year at this time, we were talking about record low ratings in the NBA. Millions of people quit watching when the league decided to passionately embrace the woke wiener. But after a phenomenal postseason last summer, the NBA finally recaptured the interest of casual fans, and they were able to carry that momentum into this regular season. Now, what has the NBA done to capitalize on all that momentum? They've done exactly what they've always done under the leadership of Adam Silver. The NBA has once again managed to find a way to not get the hell out of their own way. Players in this league have literally hit the lottery. Throughout his 16-year career in the NBA, Charles Barkley made just over $40 million. This season alone, Steph Curry is making over $50 million. Star players in the NBA are being set up to retire as billionaires. Hell, eventually, some of these dudes might even have more money than team owners. And all they gotta do is play basketball. Yet for some reason, NBA players dream of being political pundits. They used to dream of being rappers. Now they dream of being political pundits. And they can't seem to keep that hole in their face shut when it comes to the disease of politics. Watch for yourself.
They're taking 5-year-old kindergartners and U.S. citizens and detaining people. And immigration is a problem that needs to be addressed, and but it needs to be addressed by Congress, legislatively, not by military force in the streets, pulling people from their homes.
PR has tried, but I'm not going to sit here and give some politically correct, Every day I wake up and see the news and I'm horrified. I think that it's crazy that some people might make it seem like, or make it sound like it's acceptable. The murder of civilians is acceptable, Saying everything, that's on my mind would have a cost that's too great for me right now. So it's, I'd rather not get into too many details.
First off, Steve Kerr, I know you are an expert when it comes to professional basketball, but clearly you are not an expert when it comes to current events. You're not an expert when it comes to immigration enforcement. You know what Uncle Casey does when he doesn't know a damn thing about something? I don't talk about it. Maybe Stevie should listen to that free wisdom. And Victor Wembanyama? You mentioned public relations trying to get you to keep your mouth shut. Maybe next time they should use a muzzle, because clearly Asking you politely isn't working. But the reason they are asking you to exercise your right to remain silent, it's not because they're assholes. It's not because they're infringing on your right to speak freely. Public relations is trying to help you out here. They are trying to keep you as uncontroversial as possible so everyone will want to see you play. Do you understand how that works? When you're selling a product, you want to sell it to the widest audience possible. The last thing you want to do is alienate over half the country. Now that the NBA is on Amazon and NBC, I think there is going to be increased pressure to perform. With ESPN, there is no pressure on the NBA to deliver ratings because Adam Silver knows he's got all the leverage. ESPN needs the NBA more than the NBA needs ESPN. Matter of fact, you could make a strong case that the NBA would be better off without ESPN because ESPN's coverage of the league is the drizzling shits. But with Amazon and NBC, the NBA doesn't have the same leverage. Amazon clearly doesn't need the NBA to survive, and for decades, NBC has done just fine without the NBA. Now, in fairness to the league, Peacock has always been a money loser. They're kind of like the WNBA. The only difference is Peacock isn't a dump. Throughout 2023 and 2024, Peacock lost around $567 million a quarter. Well, Casey, that means the NBA is decreasing their losses. With the NBA, the cock only lost $552 million. This is great! According to Comcast, the reason for the massive losses in 2023 and 2024 was due to financial investment into the platform. By the second quarter of 2025, Peacock was down to losing a cool $100 million a quarter. But as soon as they started to head in the right direction, here comes the NBA. And Peacock is back to losing $500 million every 3 months. So, what does this mean for the consumer? What does this mean for the viewer? This is pure speculation on my part, but I think sports are about to get very expensive. It's already expensive enough to watch the NFL and NBA, not to mention college football. But over the next few years, I think those costs are going to drastically increase. Either that or these streaming services will get out of the business of sports. The thing is, we already had the perfect setup. The system wasn't broken. When I originally signed up with Dish Network back in 2009, my average bill was around $100 a month. NFL Red Zone gave me access to every NFL game. The broadcast networks carried NFL games. Regional sports networks carried the NBA. And if I wanted every NBA game, I paid for League Pass. It was perfect. Everything was all in one spot. Now, you need multiple streaming services to watch both leagues, and the streaming services, they're losing hundreds of millions of dollars. This new system, it's not working for anyone except, of course, the leagues, who are making billions of dollars every year with these broadcast deals. As is often the case, greed has ruined everything for the consumer. They took a system that was working. They took a system that was perfect for the consumer, and they destroyed it. Also, the NBA could make a few extra bucks. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys tomorrow.